Are you tired of the daily grind? Have you ever just dreamed of escaping the rat race and sailing off into the sunset in your own boat, but you've been put off with the price of buying one? We were too, until we looked into it fully. Then we bought an old boat for less than the price of a second-hand car, and with no sailing experience, I sailed over 1,000 miles round the British coast to our home. So follow us as we rebuild this wee boat and take her round the world to remote places and have the adventure of a lifetime, but within a budget that the average person could afford. Hi, welcome back to the madness that is our boat. And yes, we're wearing matching jumpers just for you guys. We done that on purpose, honestly.
Yeah, really.
No, but this week we're continuing with the balsa core. We're going to get the closed cell foam in and start getting that fiberglassed up. And there was a lot of yous, more eagle-eyed viewers last week, that noticed one of the links in the mooring chain was open. That was on purpose. That's at the bottom of another swivel that I've got on that I was replacing. So we'll put that footage in there of us replacing that with an actual stainless steel clip. That should allow the mooring to spin round on both underwater and above the water, because we were getting a bit of problems with the ropes kind of tangling with each other. And we've got another big blow coming in this weekend, so I wanted to get that sorted beforehand. As I said, we managed to get some closed cell foam. Me and my wisdom, I ordered the stuff that doesn't have the pre-cut grooves in it. So yeah, I'm going to have to cut that myself. So that, but I'll cut it into squares so that it opens and actually fits the contour of the inside of the roof. We'll get that cut to size and we'll get the grid cut in that. And the seizing wire, that finally came. So there's a lot of the stays and things. I've put split pins through it just to stop it unravelling. But every time I pull myself onto the boat, inevitably I get one of these split pins in the hand and it removes a chunk of flesh. So we'll get that done this week as well. And as for the viewer that commented on last week's video or the week before, to get a proper job, fella, this is not our job. I wish we were getting paid for this. Unfortunately, the pay is going the opposite direction.
Quickly.
Very quickly. Everything that we buy for this boat is coming out of our own money. We're not sponsored or funded or anything like that. This is not a job. As I said, everything comes out of our bank accounts. We actually invest quite heavily on this, so that you can get the best quality videos possible. We've invested in a new camera that's coming next week, I think, which was quite a big investment, so hopefully that improves things again for us. But this is not our job. This is stuff we do after our job. This is stuff we buy with the money from our jobs. We're no professional YouTubers, as you can see. But
that's what a professional YouTuber looks like.
And as for your comment about World War III, fella, been there, done that. No interested anymore. My only interest is enjoying the rest of my life, sailing around the world, and being as calm and relaxed as possible. Anybody else that wants to go and do that stuff, fair play to you. But as I said, been there, done that. Got several t-shirts. But anyway, let's crack on and see where we get to this week. Now, I'm going to have to pull this back in because this has got rope. It's got rope round the wrap. It's got wrapped round the chain. So this is why I was putting the new one in originally anyway, because it's getting itself wrapped around it and it shouldn't be. that tells me that the swivel I had on for last year is actually stopped swivelling for some reason. So, with the water being as low as it is just now, it's a really good time to get this sorted. I think there's another one still needing done. Another wrap. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here and I'm going to put it on the spinnaker halyard and I'm going to pull it up and then we'll come back in. Now, that's me got the buoy up. As I said, we've got a big blow coming, so I want to get this second swivel on here so that everything's working fine. This here was the big banana rope. Now, I had that on there for another boat that was a bit heavier, but I think I'm going to take it out and I'm just going to put it across both cleats. We'll have it round that way. And there was a lot of kind of quick fixes done last winter because I only got this mooring the back end of last year. So this here's the main chain. This is 12mm, and then this is my backup chain, which is 8mm. This main chain goes on to a 35mm chain. There's 10 metres of that, which is shackled onto 2 big concrete plates. Sorry, that curlew wants to be in the video as well. But aye, as I was saying, I've got that shackled on to the 2 big concrete plates, so it's rated for 27 tonne, and I've got this 8mm backup chain just in case. Now, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's still galvanised. I mean, that was only put in March this year and it was brand new at the time. So aye, that's backup chain. This chain's about 1.5 years old, and although there's a lot of surface on it, it's still good. I mean, there's plenty in all of that, so I'm happy with that. This shackle here was put brand new, was put in when that rope was put in again April time this year, just before I went down to the south coast to pick up the catamaran. And that was one of the good galvanised ones, it wasn't one of the cheap shiny ones, so it seems to be alright other than a bit of surface rust. So we'll get this off, we'll get all this off here, we'll scrape all these barnacles off again. I mean, these are literally March, April this year, so you can see they're all just wee seed wee seed mussels. But I'll scrape them off and I'll put them back in the water and hopefully they'll be okay. But in the meantime, we're going to get this off. I've got this undone so that I can just pop it straight off of this and put the swivel on it, which will make things an awful lot easier. Anyway, we'll crack on and get that done and I'll come back in. Are we filming?
Yeah.
Cool. Right, now we're going to take this big shackle off the banana rope. I've got it tied off to a cleat down here. So these these chains are actually slack. And the banana rope's only on to the 10mm or the 8mm backup chain anyway, which, as I said, I've got that tied off there, so it shouldn't go anywhere. And as I said, this was a new cleat part of the way through the year, so it shouldn't be too bad. There we go. Look at that. It was literally just a build up on the top of it. Now the next trick is to undo this without losing any of it. Aye. Keep your fingers crossed. I'll need it.
I've seen people saying when you're doing work over the water, put an opened umbrella beneath you. That'd be cool, but we haven't got an umbrella.
Aye. Right. Take that down. Actually,
Give that to me.
that's a good idea, that.
I'll hold it.
Next one is onto the tail of this here, and look at that. I even put a tie
grip
on it so that it didn't undo itself.
Smart thinking.
For once in my life.
Lots of times.
Now, let's see if I can get this one off. This one's a wee bit more difficult. Right, I think we're going to have to turn the camera off and do one of those as if by magic.
Okay.
Aye, as I was saying, you know, these things are never a problem at all. I can get them off easily every time. I didn't have to brace it over my knee with a screwdriver through it at all. Just came straight off for me.
Up to nothing.
You know the thing I don't like? All these wee barnacles that break up and it's like sandpaper in your fingers. Some sensible people might even wear gloves.
Sensible.
Aye, sensible. Easy for me to say. Right, so I'll get that out of here. And that one, because that's a good wee stainless steel cleat, no cleat, thingamabobber.
One of them.
That's a technical term, by the way.
It is, and it's not one that's going to roll away.
No. Right, so take that off. That sit there ready. Now, I don't know if you can see the difference in this chain. This is the bit that was actually on to the mooring before, and it's significantly thinner. So I'm going to cut that back maybe 2 or 3 links just to get back onto the good chain again. Because the last thing you want is that wearing away after having done the yearly maintenance on your mooring. You go home and you think, okay, that'll be fine, and this wears through within a few months, and the next thing your boat's lying on the rock somewhere and you're left wondering why. So I'm going to inspect it, and I think getting back as far as as far back as here, we're back onto good chain links again. So I'm going to cut it there. And that's us onto a good solid chain, but that's still slightly hot. Oh, I've got a pair of pliers.
You could pick them up with that.
Aye. Now if you look how thin that is compared to the thickness of that, you can see just how, you can see how much that's worn away. And then this one is even thinner.
Aye.
So although chain's expensive, it's not as expensive as a new boat. So I'll take that off and then we'll feed that up through the float. Aye, we'll put a swivel on it. I think I'm gonna cut these off as well, because these shackles, that's the word, these shackles are all done for. They're too far gone, so I'll just cut them off and it'll make my life a lot easier. And then, as I said, I'll feed this up through onto the float, and we'll get the swivel on it. Right, as I said, I'm just going to cut this one off. That'll loose this chain and that'll probably swing back, but I've got the chain tied here and I've got it tied up onto the cleat there as well, so I'm not going anywhere. Worst case scenario, I've got to get the wetsuit on and dive the 4 metres to the seabed. I'm going to have to do that anyway before the winter comes in, just to check that all the ground tackle is still in good condition. Anyway, here we go. Now I'm hoping that I can just pull this pin out now that I've cut through it. Just like that. There we go. Look at that. I never even hit you in the head with it. Ta-da!
I'm sitting here chuckling, but it wouldn't be fun to be thrown in the water with that.
No, I mean, they call that a float, but it weighs 30 kilos.
Aye, it's a big boy.
It is a big boy, a big buoy.
He would good us.
Now, I'm going to leave that sitting there like that. I've got that chain cut, so that's just ready to get fed through. And I'm going to loose this rope. I'm just going to take it down. It's sitting on a winch just now, so I'm going to take it down and we can lie it flat on the deck here. Then we can scrape all the mussels and things off it and build it back up.
Sounds like a plan.
Aye. Right. Now, as I said, this was completely cleaned. I mean, I actually done a video on cleaning it. Was that April time? March. And look how much is already. I mean, look at the size of the barnacles. They're full-size barnacles since March. And then, I don't know what that wee creature is. Messages on a postcard if you know what that one is. It's almost like a praying mantis for the sea. Anyway, we're going to get these scraped off. We'll get them scraped as much as possible. And then we'll put them back into the water and hope that they manage to take grip again. I'd rather not have to kill them if I don't have to. But it comes off pretty easy. So aye, we're going to crack on with that. And well, there's another one of the wee creatures in there. I don't know what they are. Aye. Here's me pointing to it in the wrong direction. I don't know what that is. Just in there.
I've never seen them before. Looks like a larvae of some kind.
Aye. Anyway, let's not dwell on what sea creatures or what. I mean, this one here, this mussel's done well. I mean, if you look at the size of that compared with my fingers, that wasn't even there a few months ago. So hopefully it can find a rock down there. As I said, we're going to crack on with this, and we're going to get the float scraped so that I can get the chain through it and get the swiveling things onto it before this wind comes up and before the water gets any higher. We're doing it at really low tide just now. It's about 1.5 meters lower than usual, so we're only 3 or 4 meters to the seabed, and the chain is 10 meters long, because sometimes we'll get up to kind of 8 meters, 9 meters. So aye, anyway, we'll crack on and we'll get this scraped. That's what I was saying, it's quite easy to come off.
I don't think they'll regrow, and we'll have them for dinner one day.
Well, they're coming off like a wee carpet. I don't know if you can see in the back there. It's almost like a wee mat that's just coming off, so hopefully if we put them back in soon, you know, they'll be able to, the wee hairs that they grow, they'll be able to latch onto something else.
Yeah, it shows you how healthy and clean our water is here.
Aye. And how nutrient rich.
Yeah.
Well, you seen how green it was the other day.
It certainly was. Carpet and mussels.
Aye.
That's very pretty, actually.
It is. And they'll be pretty delicious on my plate at some point.
See what you did there.
Aye.
For that person, John Andrews, who said your missus is as mad as you, you're far wrong.
Aye, absolutely right. We're the same kind of crazy.
Right. Not to damage them. Apologies to you with the mussels if I've hurt you.
Aye. Please don't hurt the mussels.
Crazy lady talking to the mussels. I'm not a crazy cat lady.
You're crazy mussel lady.
Yes. It's got to be done though.
Aye. I'm just listening to that curlew there. It sounds like they're getting ready to leave for the winter.
Well, we're already having geese fly over.
Aye, we've got the first few leaves done as well.
Right. Yes, autumn is coming quickly.
Aye. There we go. it took even less time to clean than it did for the wee guys to grow. So we're going to get them back into the water just now, and hopefully they'll live on.
Here we go. We shall gently slide it in, gently.
And hopefully they'll, as I said, they'll grow again. Because we never damaged any of the wee hairs that they put out. They've got a specific name which escapes me just now. But it's like the mycelium kind of stuff that mushrooms have. If you've ever bought mussels before, you'll see the kind of beard on them. That's the hairs that I'm talking about. You can take mussels out of the water for a few days even, and they'll be okay as long as those hairs are okay, but once you cut the hairs off, they die. Not that I'm an expert in mussels. But aye.
A baby shrimp.
Oh aye. There's an entire ecosystem in there.
Aye.
Well, hopefully it all survives. Except for the barnacles. I don't like barnacles.
No, especially not when you sit on them.
Aye, they've ripped me to shreds too many times. There we go. Now all we've got to do is get this thing assembled and back in the water. Now, one of the irritating things with this that makes it more difficult is, if you see here, it's a nice round hole. So it's easy enough to get a chain up through there and get the shackle and things onto it. But if you look on there, it's just a slit, which makes it difficult to feed chain and things through. So the easy way I found of doing it is just get a bit of thin rope, feed it through the top, tie it to the chain, and then pull it through that way. So that's what I'm going to do just now, and hopefully it works okay. Now that I've said it's an easy way of doing it, of course it's not going to work, but aye. This is how I've managed to do it before, so let's try it again. And then you just pull it through there. Give it a quick tie on the chain. And yes, granny knots are official sailing knots. Now, just untie these knots. What's that saying? If you don't know knots, do it lots.
And grannies can be sailors too.
Aye. Now I've got that one there. I'm just going to stick this through it now to stop it coming through. And then hopefully I'll be able to do the same with the other chain. Now this is a stainless steel shackle that's onto the backup chain, so I'm going to use some stainless season wire. I'm just going to crank it down as tight as I can get it to go. And then just stitch it through it so that it's not going to be able to move anywhere. It's probably overkill the amount of times I'm doing it, but I'd rather be too much than too little.
And because they're both stainless steel, they won't react against each other in the salt water.
Aye, that's it. This stuff that I got is it's been annealed, so it's no brittle. And that way it doesn't snap. Now, just get that a tighten on. And then snip that ragged edge off. Like that. And then hammer that down. And that way it can't undo itself. I've got one round this side as well. Just to stop any other movement on that way. But I've got that tight with the pliers, I've got the season wire on there, so I shouldn't have an issue. And this will be going on to the big shackle with the main chain, and the swivel will be on the other side of it. So happy days. Right, now as I said, this shackle's still good, so I'm going to reuse it, but it's not stainless, so I'm going to put it in with a zip tie. That's the word.
One of them.
Aye, but I want to get it good and tight first, because this is the main one that's holding the boat. The problem with getting them this tight is once they get a bit older, you've got to use the angle grinder, because they get very, very tight. I'll make sure that I don't get it round any of the other shackles. So that it doesn't end up snapping. Get it nice and tight, so that even if the pin does come loose, it can't pull out the way. And then we'll no lose the float and the boat. Right, that's nice and tight. I'll just snip that off. And now I've got to get this hung again so that we can get it over the top. So we'll get that done now and then we'll come back in. Right, I went and undone it again and redone it because I wasn't happy with the way it was sitting on the plate. It was making the plate sit up high, which would have wore away at the foam on here. So I've got the main chain here, the backup chain. The backup chain's onto a separate shackle from the main chain onto this, and both ropes will go onto this. They'll just clip on. The big thick banana rope will be on a shackle. That will be the main anchorage, and then I've got a snubber here just as a backup, and they'll go onto 2 cleats each. So that should be good and strong. All we've got to do now is get this thing hoisted back up and into the water before the tide gets too high. But if you look over there,
I'm falling. We have a rainbow.
Aye, you'll see that the rain's started, so we have to move ourselves. So
we can see the whole of it as well. Haha.
Yes.
Oh, look, a rainbow
Aye.
never fails to catch me.
But what we'll do just now is we'll get a rope on this and we'll get her hoisted up. I'll get the snubber onto her just now, and then we'll get it back in the water. I'll get these tools away from here so they don't get pulled over with the chain. And zip ties. Right. Aye, we'll come back in once we've got her up in the air. And we'll put her in the water. Right. I'm going to try and lower it down gently.
Okay. Oop, that was a bit of a thump.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come forward and I'm going to slip it over the front wheel after I've got that snubber on it. It's just a wee bit too short without, so I'll lower it down a wee bit more.
And back.
Aye, I'll let it do a wee bit more to get it over the bar.
Aha. Well, that's over.
Right. That's us on the snubber.
Excellent.
Good, and I can see the chain going away back there. That's better. Now there's nothing for it to get filled up or bound.
Aha. So we won't come over to a bunch of spaghetti.
No. And it'll no stretch connections like it did before.
No,
It'll not twist them up.
we'll show you them. It's just
You've got to love the Scottish summer. Beautiful sunshine and some cooling rain all at the same time.
It is actually quite warm.
Aye, it is. I think it's about 24, 25 degrees today. Well, it is inside anyway.
And we have a huge double rainbow. Oh, that way. Trying to zoom out and zooming in.
Okay, stop. This here is one of the smaller panels of closed cell foam that I got. It's a lot stiffer than standard foam, and it doesn't melt with the epoxy and things. It's quite strong if it's epoxied in or fiberglassed in properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it to size, and then I'm going to cut grooves in it in a grid pattern so that I can bend it. I'll not go all the way through, I'll probably go 2/3 of the way, and that way once I've got epoxy on the ceiling I'll be able to push that into the right shape, and as I said, it'll shape to the contours of the roof, and then I can start fiberglassing over the top of it. For now I'm just going to kind of clean out the hole, and I'm going to sand things and get it ready for this to go in. Now I remembered this today, and I've even got gloves on because I absolutely hate the itchiness of the fiberglass. But it does mean that you won't be able to hear me very well, so I'll stop talking and start cutting and get steamed up as well. Right, now that I've got that cut out to the size that I want, I'm going to start grinding it down nice and smooth. I'll use a standard grinder in this wee one. I'm just going to put a new disc on it now. Now, I've just got a 60 grit, the flap wheel on this one, and this one is, I think it was 120, but it's worn down quite a lot, so it's a lot smoother. So I'm going to rip the most down with this first, and then we'll go in with the smaller, smoother one. Well, that took the most of it off, but no matter whether you go in one of the white suits or not, you always get some somewhere. So hopefully it's not too bad today, because last week I was absolutely destroyed by it. I was itchy for about 3 days. So I mean, we've got 5 suits there if needs be, but hopefully that was enough today. Well, that's us back at it on this very rainy day, but I'm happy to report that the inside of this, although it's absolutely pouring down outside, the inside of this is bone dry. The inside of the chain plate is bone dry. There's nothing, no wetness there at all. So I'm going to get this measured and cut out. Me and my wisdom forgot to bring the tape measure with me. I mean, I've only got 7.
There's probably at least 5 on the boat, hiding.
So, a measuring stick, and I've had to just put marks on it. But we'll get this cut out. We'll get this cleaned with some acetone, and then I'll get it. Actually, I've got to put the grid in it as well, and then we will mix up some epoxy for to stick it on with. Anyway. The Amazon actually managed to deliver the silica for to make up the peanut butter, which is really good. So we'll get some of that mixed up, and we'll get it spread in the edges here and on the back, so that we can stick the board to it. We'll get a nice thick layer. This is an inch thick, so it's about the same thickness as the balsa core. So we'll get that in, we'll get the peanut butter in, we'll get the foam in, then we'll get about 5 layers of fiberglass in. We'll get some chop strand in first, because it's easiest to blend in the edges and it meshes better, and then we'll get some roving in on top, which is good and structural, and it'll make this part stronger than it was originally when it came out the factory. I think 3, I was originally thinking 3 layers, but if I'm going to do it, I'd be as well doing it properly. As I said, with the woven roving and the chop strand, it'll be stronger than it came out the factory, and it'll last another 50 years at least. Now, if the roof or if the ceiling was only curved in one direction, I could get away with just cutting it in one direction. But because this is contoured in all directions, I don't know if you can see that, but it gives it a lot more flexibility and it lets it curve to the shape of the ceiling or the roof. So I'm going to get this cleaned out. I'm going to get some acetone on here and give it a clean, and then we'll mix up some peanut butter. Now, I don't have acetone, but I have some thinners here, so they'll do just now. Just to get this cleaned off, get all the dust off it, so that I get good adherence with the peanut butter. As I said in one of the previous videos, the preparation is 90%. If you don't prepare well, the job doesn't end well. All it takes is a patch of dust that you've missed, and then you've got like this over here where it doesn't wet in properly, and you can just peel it back off years later. So you're better doing it properly first time. As I've said many times, I'm not a professional at this. This is just the way I was taught to do things, and it's the way that I do it. And going by previous projects, the things I build usually end up stronger than the thing I'm replacing, so it's usually harder to get my stuff apart than it is to build it.
It's true.
Aye. So, I'll keep going with doing it the way I know. But everybody has different ways. I'm not saying this is the definitive way of doing it. This is just my way.
But I know from experience, when you build things, they are built to last.
There's no point in building them for 6 months.
No.
Right, I'm going to get this another white just to make sure. Now, when I'm making the peanut butter, I'll put it on this and I'll put it on that. That'll let it squidge into all the wee gaps, so there's a good thick bed when I put it in there, and there's no area that's not making contact with the epoxy mix, and it should be good and strong. Once that's dried, then we'll start glassing it, and then hopefully that'll be another wee project done. Now, I'm just going to thicken this up with the silica, but it seems to be kind of sticky for some reason today.
Maybe the humidity.
Aye, maybe so. Now I'm going to mix this at 1% initially, just to give me time to work with it. It's rapid hardening stuff, so it should be hard in 20 minutes with this 1%. That's looking thick enough now. It's thick enough that it will stay on a spatula, so
And loose enough that it will spread and fill the cracks.
aye, exactly. So I'll get this ready to go and we'll come back in. I'll get this horrible silica stuff away. It's really no good for your lungs. Now that wasn't quite enough with that wee tub, so we're going to mix it up in a bigger tub. It's a well-known epoxy mixing tub. Really good epoxy brand. Well, I'm in a hurry now because the other stuff's already applied to the ceiling going off, so I'm not wanting it to kick before I manage to get things on.
And if you start mixing it up in the bowl that you mixed the original lot up in,
It would just make it kick faster.
Yep.
There we go.
That's better.
That's good and thick. Right, I'm going to get this on the sealant and on the underside of the foam before it kicks now. We'll come back in once I'm there. Now, I've already got a layer up in the sealant, but I just want to make sure, as I said, that none of it is wet. None of it's dry. I want all of it to have a layer on. So I'm just going to scoop this on here. It doesn't have to be hugely thick because there's, as I said, there's some on the other side as well. I think I'm probably going to have to mix up another batch again. That's the problem, we only brought very small scales today because all our kitchen scales need batteries. But I've got a set coming from Amazon, so they should be here in a couple of days. Now, we were just sitting there going to have a cup of coffee and we noticed we've got a leak. And it's from one of the cracks that we talked about last week in here that I never quite got round to patching up. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry it. I'm going to take that off. And everybody's heard the butyl tape, but you can also get this broad stuff that sticks to pretty much anything. So I'm going to cut me some of that. And see if I can get it to open. And I'm going to put that on there as a temporary patch. And that will stop any of the water coming in just now. I just want to press it good and hard to make sure it gets a seal. But this butyl tape's so good that it even sticks to wet things. I don't know if you've seen the adverts of barrels of water leaking and barrels of oil in this magical tape. It's not quite as good as that, but it's near. So, hopefully that will stop that leak now. It's going to be a couple of days before we get back on, and all of next week is looking quite rough for rain and wind, so we're not going to get the roof done then. But we're going to have to get it done soon, certainly before the temperature drops below 15 degrees, because once we get below that we'll be struggling for the filler to kick, and I've got some micro glass fibre. I've got sheets of that I'm going to, any cracks like this, I'm going to route it out. I'm going to fill it with peanut butter, and then I'm going to put this layer of stuff over it. Then I'm going to use fairing compound over the entire roof. Then we'll paint it, and then it'll get the grip paint on it as well. But we need a weather window for that just now. But this should keep it from leaking just now. It's just, as I said, it's butyl tape. It's about, what's that, about 3 inch?
I bet that.
Actually, that's 9, but anyway. Aye, it's about that broad, we'll say. And it's really good. See, if you get kind of leaks coming inside, you can actually go down in the dinghy and slap this onto the hull, and it's enough to get you home. So always carry a couple of rolls of that in the boat. It's really handy stuff. Anyway, I'm going back inside for my coffee now. Now, I really hate all this stuff. I mean, I used to love them when I was young. I used to have a pair of glow sticks and a whistle, but I don't like getting into all these suits and things, but for this amount of dust and things, and for all the chemicals I would be breathing in, it's worth just putting on some PPE. I want to be alive to enjoy the boat, so...
Aye, I want you alive to enjoy the boat.
You only want me alive to steer the boat.
I'm learning.
Aye.
Oh, you're doing it lovely.
Right.
This looks like something out of Breaking Bad.
That wasn't fun at all. Oh. Well, aye, that wasn't fun, but it's done. I've got it all contoured, and about 4 or 5 inches right round about the patch. I've got all that ground down ready for the fiberglass as well, so that it gets a good mechanical bond. And we'll do the patches different sizes. I think because it's round about the chain plate, we're going to have to do a few different bits, and then once we get out, we'll be able to do a couple of big ones over the top, and it'll come about 5 inches out for where the hole is. So that will give it a good bit of strength right round about. There we go, it's not actually foggy. Aye, I'm going to go back in there and get all the dust cleaned down now, and then we're going to prep for fiberglass. Now, we're running a wee bit late tonight. It's already dark outside, so we've got the engine running just to have all the lights on. We've got the chop strand cut here, or Sally has, and the woven mat. We've just, if Lily and Sally, if you don't mind, cut the 4th layer of the woven mat.
Yep.
I think, did we say it was going to be a couple of inches bigger than the...
2 or 3 inches.
Aye, about 2 inches bigger.
Yeah.
All round. And while you are doing that, I'll start mixing up some epoxy.
Okay.
And aye, we'll see how it goes for there.
Yeah, get that done.
Hopefully it's warm enough that it'll go off overnight. It's still saying 17.5, so that's, oh, there's your feet. Aye, it's saying 17.5 degrees, so it should be hot enough.
Well, the window and the door will be closed, so.
Aye, and it'll get the whole night for it to go off. So, aye, we'll get this fiberglass up, and then that'll do us for tonight, I think.
Aye.
And this is me sticking the first layer of the woven mat on it, and that's a lot stronger than the chop strand. You just got to make sure that you get the epoxy right through it and that there's no white patches. You want it completely wetted out.
It's a bit easier to put up because it's more solid.
Aye. See, if you take some of the, see, I've taken the
Loose edges.
loose edges off.
Aye.
That actually lets it mesh in easier.
Cool. Left or right?
Left. Perfect. Now this should make it good and strong. Actually, it's slightly dry under there, so I'll just give it a bit more. It's starting to kick now.
After waiting so long for the other stuff to
Aye.
sort itself out.
I actually have to mix up another batch. Because when it's kicking, it's not going in right. It's not getting absorbed right. I'm doing that to try and kind of force it through the fibres so that there's no dry spots.
you come round the front of the chain plate, I can see a wee dry spot around there. Yep.
I like using the roller because it forces, or it helps force out any air that's in it. Now I'm going to mix up another batch of this because it is starting to kick, and then we'll do one last layer, and we'll bring it across the way like this, and that'll just tie it right in.
Aye, that'll reinforce it the other way.
Then we'll give it a paint. If I can stop picking at these fibres. Right, I'm going to have to move now, so I'll crack on with that, and then we'll come back in probably next week, so tune in then. Well, we've decided since it's such a beautiful evening, we're just going to stop and we're going to chill out for a wee while and just enjoy it. I mean,
what's not to enjoy?
It's absolutely gorgeous. I think we're going to leave the video here as well for this week. I hope you enjoyed catching up with our madness and our ongoing boat repairs. There will be a lot more next time, and the times to come, because we've just put in a massive order at the Chandlers. It's given us enough to get projects going, certainly for the next few months. And as I said, we've kind of invested in this camera and things, so aye, there's a lot going to be happening in the next few months. A lot of repairs, a lot of upgrades, and a lot more madness. So aye.
Talk for yourself.
But yes.
I threw him.
Aye, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, thank you very much for watching the video.
And thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and yeah.
Thank you for all the comments as well. As we've said before, a lot of them is really helpful. Some of them we get a chuckle at. But aye, thank you very much for being part of your community.
We appreciate you all.
Aye. If you could do us a favour, if you could like, share and subscribe, please. Because I think we're up over 1,200 subscribers now. And I was amazed, and I even went into the wee kind of stats bit, and it turns out there's only about 40% of people watching us that's actually subscribed. So if you wouldn't mind, do us a wee favour and hit that subscribe button, because it really helps us out. And we're loving this. So aye, as I said at the start of the video, it's not a job. We don't get any sponsorship or anything like that. We just do this because we love it, and we hope that you enjoy it as well. But on that note, we shall see you next time.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.